say welcome again to the second installation on our Live at the Velocity Center program series. We're here and we've developed this to facilitate collaboration between thought leaders and community members to provide open access to innovators, inventors, educators, and investors. Using this open forum, lectures, talks, and informational program content, we hope to empower our community to participate in discovering new technologies and new business opportunities for the Indian Head Enterprise Zone and Southern Maryland region. We are so proud to be hosting this program series as a simulcast from the College of Southern Maryland's newest facility that was opened September, the ribbon cutting was September of last year, the Velocity Center. The new CSM Velocity Center operates and is managed by CSM. It is a place of innovation, learning, and collaboration for academia, the Navy, and the community. This collaborative learning space supports workforce development and economic growth in Southern Maryland. The facility is approximately 13,000 square feet, located outside of the Naval Surface Warfare Center here in Indian Head, Maryland. And the Navy utilizes the center for conferences and meetings and showcases, a ton of professional development activities. And the community can take advantage of the makerspace in the Velocity Center, as well as workforce and professional development courses, such as computer-aided design, cybersecurity, drones, small unmanned aircraft systems, government procurement, social entrepreneurship, and tech transfer entrepreneurship. You get the picture. We have a lot to offer you here at the Velocity Center. So we invite you, our regional community, to come on over to Indian Head and check us out. We will have at least 3 more opportunities for you to check us out during the Live at the Velocity Center program series. You're welcome to join us virtually or in person on October 20th as we discuss experiential learning and innovation with some of our youth innovators and inventors. November 10th, when we explore STEAM and the inclusion of the arts at the Velocity Center, or January 19th, when we provide an overview of what a makerspace is and how to use it. You don't have to memorize those dates. I know I went fast. So simply visit us at csmd.edu/VC series to get more information. All right, so what you came for. In March of this year, we hosted the first installation of this series, and we discussed the innovators around us. Today, our topic is rethinking workforce development and skills training in our region. And this is such an important topic to discuss in these drastically changing times. The panel was just having a really wonderful discussion before we actually started, and so I know this is going to be a good discussion. We have gathered a group of experts from our region in the programming and providing of workforce development and skills training. And I will first introduce them to you and have them say hello and maybe a bit more about themselves. I'll then ask them a few questions to get us started. I'm hoping that you who are watching and here with us will engage with us and send your questions and maybe your comments and your thoughts through the chat, and be prepared to maybe ask them here and I can repeat them for you over the mic. Because working together, I'm confident we're going to make this an enlightening hour or so of discussion. All right, so let's introduce our panelists. Panelists, I'll introduce you one at a time. And after I introduce you, I'd love for you to say a little bit more about your organization, maybe your role there, and how the work of that organization benefits the community. Let's start in the middle. Belinda Denton is the Business Engagement and Development Manager at the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland's Workforce Development Board. Belinda is responsible for identifying, building, and sustaining employer and community workforce alliances. Tasked with assessing workforce needs within the region and companies, Ms. Denton has matched businesses to appropriate grant funding and training programs. With 11 years of experience in the field, she is uniquely suited to assist with regional businesses and assist them with workforce development. She started at TCC SMD with the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families grant program and was quickly promoted to business service representative and more recently to her current position. Prior to joining Tri-County Council, she worked as a business development manager for a small disabled veteran-owned company, focusing on contract acquisition and project management. Ms. Denton has an avid interest in building industry sector alliances, grant writing, and workforce development, and would love to increase her participation in those activities. We are so happy to have you here. Would you not mind saying a little bit more about you and the work that your organization does?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for that kind introduction. You pretty much said a lot of what we do, but just so everyone understands the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland's role in workforce development, we work in partnership with the Maryland Department of Labor in providing services to job seekers and businesses alike. I like to kind of sum up what we do is helping companies achieve their short-term and long-term workforce development goals by finding the right people with the right skills, putting them in the right employment at the right time.
Awesome. That makes sense. Thank you for that. All right, we'll start over here. Bill, we'll do ladies first, if that's okay. So Lucretia Freeman Buster serves as the Chief of Business Development at the Charles County Economic Development Department. She is responsible for managing the department's business development and engagement programs, which include working with businesses seeking to locate or relocate to Charles County, directing the business retention and expansion program, and coordinating the department's business assistance services and team. Ms. Freeman Buster brings to the EDD more than 20 years of experience in business development, commercial lending, and financial management. Prior to joining the EDD, Ms. Freeman Buster worked as the Associate State Director and later as Acting Executive Director for the District of Columbia Small Business Development Center Network, where she implemented and executed the organization's strategy, provided oversight of service centers, and developed funding proposals, among other duties. It is an honor to have you here. Thank you. And would you mind saying a few words about you and your organization?
Sure, thank you. I mean, you pretty much summarized what I do. Responsible for working with businesses, helping to take them to the next level. And the economic development promotes the economic strength of Charles County. And we focus on analytics, business-to-business support, entrepreneurship, supporting financing incentives for businesses, networking, site selection, and also workforce training. But we work very closely with the Tri-County Council as it comes to workforce development. And I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for outlining that for us. And last but not least, we are representing our business community with Mr. Bill Dodson, President of Modern Door. Since opening their doors in 1985, Modern Door has been committed to providing the best in space management solutions. Modern Door is a full-service company offering professional product consultation, design assistance, and project management. They employ over 50 factory-certified technicians and I believe over 100 employees, providing full-service installation and maintenance on their entire portfolio of products. They service all markets, including corporate, government, educational, hospitality, medical, and religious. They partner with the architectural and design community as well, with owners and contractors to create powerful and innovative spaces. We are a witness to some of that in the Velocity Center. They provide solutions that challenge the way you look at space division and impact the vision of the final design. Modern Door's main office is located just outside of the Beltway in White Plains, Maryland, with a secondary location in Ashland, Virginia. They service customers throughout the Mid-Atlantic area, including all of Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, West Virginia, and Eastern North Carolina. Modern Door has worked on some of the largest and high-profile projects on the East Coast, including the World Trade Center in Manhattan and almost every major hotel in the DC area, including the new MGM Hotel. Bill Dotson opened his first business in Charles County in 1983. Over the last 34 years, he has owned multiple businesses in Charles County. One of those businesses was Olympus Gyms, which had locations in Charles, St. Mary's, and Calvert County, a regional man. In 1985, Bill went to work for the family business. At that time, Modern Door employed 7 people and was operated in a small 300 square foot building in the back of the family's home. And in 1998, Bill purchased the business from his parents. Today, Modern Door is the largest space division distributor in North America, employing over 100 employees and operating in several states. Thank you so much for being here, Bill.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the College of Southern Maryland for hosting this event. I think the Velocity Center is a tremendous project that was put together with the help of the governor, and I hope it revitalizes Indian Head. And I have to say, I've done probably 100 events like this. That was absolutely the best introduction history of any event I've ever done. So thank you very much. I am a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
You've well described Modern Door.
Yeah.
Besides that, I do real estate development, economic development. And the main thing I've done is in the later years is I'm a strong advocate for economic development through the state. This building that we're sitting in right here is a perfect example of what the governor's office, the Secretary of Commerce can do. We're sitting in a town right now that's basically full of empty buildings. And we have 2 esteemed panelists right here that are here and they're saying that they're in workforce development, but yet we're sitting in a town full of empty buildings.
Yeah.
And so my passion now in life is to bring businesses to Charles County, working with the state government, working with Governor Hogan, and let's fill all these buildings up so all this workforce development can happen.
Yeah, great comments. Thank you so much. I told you this is going to be a really good discussion. So thank you to each of the panelists for being here. We'll start with a few questions and encourage you, our audience, in person and virtually, I'm looking both places, to send us your questions so we can follow up this discussion with you. We want you to be engaged with us. And so I'll ask the first question. How has the pandemic, we can't really just talk about anything without starting there, right? So how has the pandemic affected our Tri-County area related to workforce development and skills training? And maybe just, Bill, from your perspective, how it has affected business, but really just focused in on how things have been affected in this region as it relates to the pandemic. Anybody want to go first?
As an employer, I can go first.
Sure.
In my 35 years, this is absolutely the most difficult time that I've ever had in business hiring people. I could actually hire at least 25 people today. The people aren't there. When the government pays people almost $650 a week to stay home, I know that ended 2 weeks ago, but when the government does that, it makes it very hard to hire people because you're competing against basically, universal basic income. Right now that ended 2 weeks ago, we are just now starting to get some resume, and I got about 10 in this week. But it is almost impossible. And every employer, if you went up and down and talked to any business person, the number one concern right now is the workforce is extremely difficult to hire people. There's 12 million open jobs in America. Maryland is one of the best states in the United States. Under Governor Hogan, we're the 4th largest growing economy. So the governor is doing a great job and Maryland is in a good position. But ask any employer what their number one concern is. You can't hire people. They're not there to hire.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for adding that to the question. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'll add to that. I think there had always been issues with workforce, and COVID just pretty much added more to that.
Yeah.
I know skills have been an issue
Mhm.
for a long time, and you have, as Mr. Dobson said, you have smaller companies competing with larger companies for skilled workers.
Mhm.
And now with COVID, having a lot of businesses allowing employees to work from home, you have, applicants requesting that.
Mm.
And I was in a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and this is pretty much in the restaurant industry. You have workers coming in and making offer to employers, even when the skill isn't there. So I
Mhm.
think skill set is an issue. We have a lot of open positions around, but finding skilled workers have
Mm.
been very difficult.
Okay, so the gap between having the positions available, both of you all have said, and then having someone wanting the job and having the skills to take it on. Thank you for that. Belinda?
I was just going to say, those with the skills really have a huge bargaining point, because if their
Mhm.
job isn't inherently something they would have to do in person, they're just sitting back and they're like, okay, I can probably name my price.
Mhm.
And, we're going to see a lot of competition between businesses, just like Lucretia said. The larger companies are going to make it harder for the smaller companies to actually get those skilled workers, because they're not going to be able to offer the types of things that the larger companies can. And, drivers is probably one of the largest issues that we have. Because as you know, the pandemic has sent everyone home.
Yeah, and Belinda, can you bring the mic closer to
Oh,
you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can just move it. The pandemic is brought, yeah.
Pandemic has brought everyone home. So we're shopping online.
Mhm.
We did a huge recruitment for Amazon, and Amazon has, increased their minimum to $18. And they're also offering up to $3,000 bonus and tuition reimbursement. That's pretty hard to compete, if you're a smaller business. So there are some really big issues that are multi-pronged, how we're going to have to attack those, I think, as far as skills training, and we do need more skilled workers. There's a huge deficit.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'll ask, especially now that that's on. I'll ask that you can feel free to bring it and hug it, because outside of the mic itself, the audience virtually can't hear you. So all of us can feel free to bring it closer to us. I'm making sure I check in with our virtual audience so that they can hear us really clearly. But you all have brought up some amazing points as it relates to how this pandemic is challenging both the employers and giving this bargaining chip to those who are skilled, and the gap between those who are not. From the seats that you sit in and the work that you do, the organizations that you represent, what do you believe we should be doing as it relates to this skills gap? How should we be closing this gap? Bill, you want to start?
Well, first of all, the government needs to be, it needs to support business, not be a block to business. For example, we should have VOTEC in every high school in the state of Maryland. As we were talking about, and they made great points, my other colleagues did, about skills. Well, we need to push VOTEC in every high school so that kids come out. Right now, there's still the pressure to go to college, but welders are making $100,000 a year. Union electricians are making $100,000 a year. So start by putting VOTEC back in every high school. Okay, right now in Charles County, they want to bus you to North Point. That's a real inconvenience to some families. We should have VOTEC in every school. Secondly, we need government that works with business. For example, Charles County is one of the toughest counties in the state of Maryland to get a permit through. So as a business person, what I would say is I need the government, local and state, to be a partner. Then let's start with really working from high school out. Let's get these kids through VOTEC, because we need more qualified trade people. What's happening in schools Everyone wants to go to college. Everyone wants to get a mass communication degree and then struggle to get a $30,000 a year paying job with a mass communications degree when the kid that got a welding certificate is out here making 100 grand a year. So let's change the focus from so much college orientated to career orientated. And let's do that through VOTEC. That would be my first step in driving people into the workforce.
Yeah, that's a great point. Everywhere from starting in high school, and then, of course, shameless plug, places like College of Southern Maryland that do dual enrollment, as well as offering those classes here. I love that. Any other thoughts about what we should be doing, Belinda?
Well, I can tell you something that we have been doing. The state really is on a mission to promote apprenticeship and partnerships with the, I don't want to say VOTEC, we're from the same generation, but the career and technology centers. And I think that we're seeing that here in Southern Maryland, that the youth apprenticeships are starting. I've been a part of, quite a few industry sector partnerships. And, one of the problems is trying to entice people to come here. And, most of the businesses are like, okay, we just have to grow our own. Not many people want to move to Indian Head as you drive up and down here, or many parts of Southern Maryland. So we do have to grow our own, and we do have to have better partnerships through those industry sector alliances with businesses. We need to get them in the schools and show the students that, these traditional trade jobs can be very techy. They just need to know that things have changed. So
communication, education about what's available and what. Yeah, thank you for that.
Exactly. And that, will shift, I would say shifting the mindset of the workforce. It's very, very critical. And as my colleague talked about apprenticeship programs, that, it's great. And that's a saying, not everybody is groomed for college, but there's great opportunities there in this different workforce and technical training. And there are jobs available out there, but, gaining the skill set, going through some of these programs and just the overall shifting.
Yeah, it's, I think we're in a different space and time. And I just have one more question before I check in. Our virtual audience has been sending questions, which is awesome. And I will check with you all. You can just nod at me or wave at me in person if you have any. But one last question based on all that you shared. I'm wondering what permanent changes have you all made in your own spaces and spheres as a result of these gaps that you've acknowledged and the work that needs to be done, what should be done? What permanent changes have you done in your work, or have you seen done as a result of all of these issues? Belinda, feel free.
Well, as I mentioned a little bit before, businesses have been more flexible. If they have staff that's able to work from home, then they're allowing that. And, just even the Tri-County Council, we're on a hybrid work schedule ourselves. People do want that home work-life balance. They know that it's possible now, and people are more productive and the morale is up. So I think that's one of the permanent changes I see across the board. As long as, employees are meeting those performance demands, then that's going to continue.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Flexibility is key in this season that we're in. Any other ones that you all notice? Sure, Bill.
As somebody mentioned earlier, and unfortunately, but it's just true, the big businesses right now do have the advantage. So like in my business, in the last 5 years, we've done $3.2 million worth of profit sharing. We are starting at about $18 an hour. We have a very competitive benefit package. Also, with office staff, we have had to go to a lot of flexibility with telework and things like that. So you're going to have to step up, because if you want to compete for a good candidate, You're
Mhm.
going to have to offer competitive pay, competitive benefits. And that does make it extremely difficult for small companies
Yeah.
with 4, 5, 6 employees
Yeah.
because there's such competition right now with a good candidate. The bigger companies have the advantage because they can bring more to the table as far as what they can offer.
Yeah, thank you for that. And this addresses, you all's points address one of the virtual questions that came in. What recruitment and hiring processes must local employers change to remain competitive? I hear you saying that flexibility, that willingness to maybe put more dollars to the hour because it is the employees market right now as it relates to it. Are there any other recruitment or hiring processes that you think employers should be thinking about to make things more competitive? You've touched on some, but
Yeah,
Lucretia.
I think signing bonuses too,
Mm,
because I don't see much loyalty anymore in
mm,
employment, and you go where the buck is.
mhm.
And that commitment isn't there. So I think, again, that's shifting the mindset as well. So I think signing bonuses would be very critical, right?
Yes.
We're seeing that everywhere. So now you can just walk from store to store and say, okay, well, this one's offering this amount of bonus and this one, and you're weighing that. I would just add that I think companies need to promote company culture, something that's appealing. You really need to, brand that, market that
Mhm.
as a place that, especially in particular millennials, they're going to want to see culture and the business making an impact in the community. I
Oh,
would
that's
say
good.
That's really important to millennials.
Yeah, and I didn't mention that, but I know that's something that you all do at Modern Door as far as just impacting the community positively. So, yeah, that's very important. Bill, you were going to add something?
They made some great points about the things that you have to do, but I cannot emphasize enough what you just said about company culture, because we do give to our community over $1 million in giving in the last 10 years. Our average employee, I'm super proud to say this, has been at Modern Door 17 years. And in the construction industry that I am, that's unheard of.
Mhm.
But that does come from a company culture of giving, of making people feel like they belong in a family business, that we care for them, that they're not just a number on a sheet of paper.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that go into that. In our profit sharing, we have vesting. And so you want to try to stay there 5 years at least, because then you're fully vested into the profit sharing. So you've got to go above and beyond, because if you think just giving somebody $1 an hour more money,
Mm.
people are looking at the package now
Yeah.
versus just $1. But I will say, I've never seen this as prevalent as it is today. If you go to any major job site right now, like the National Airport job that we're working on, you actually have people walking through the airport, talking to all the construction workers, trying to steal construction workers, glazers, steel workers.
Wow.
I've never seen an atmosphere in
Yeah.
all of my career where it's more competitive. And so if your employees aren't happy or you have a morale issue, you got a problem right now.
Yeah, yeah. And so it sounds like where we think, folks have traditionally put their hat in the ring as it relates to the jobs they want, maybe there's an oversaturation in those places, and we're really encouraging folks to look at these, I'll use the same word because I'm probably in the same generation, VOTEC careers, because there's a great need that needs to be filled. Thank you all for that. I'll ask one more from virtual, and I'll just check in with you all as well. But how have supply chain shortages impacted local businesses? Any thoughts or experience?
I've lost a lot of hair this year. If I said this before we were on air, but it's true. If people really knew what was going on in the United States,
Mm,
they would be a lot more just tension and disruption, because
mhm.
aluminum can be a 6-month lead time. Steel is up in some markets 30, 40%. What has happened over the last 6 months? has just about devastated the supply chain.
Mhm.
Terrible decisions from the top down have absolutely frustrated the menu. How do I bid a job that ships in a year if I have no idea what my material costs are?
Mm.
And I'm facing that every day when I bid jobs. I don't know what aluminum is going to cost in 6 months. I don't know what steel is going to cost in 6 months. But I can tell you, if I showed you my emails right now,
Mhm.
there's never a day goes by some supplier doesn't email me a price increase
Mm.
because of the volatility in the market. We can't unload ships. There are thousands of ships waiting to dock. There's
Mhm.
nobody at the ports to unload the ships. We can't get materials in. There's a semiconductor shortage. There's volatility all over the supply chain. And we have a vacuum in leadership when it comes to this. It's devastating.
Mhm. Wow.
And you
Uh,
can see that in everyday business, as Mr. Dobson said, even looking at the cars. When you go in the car lot now,
Mhm.
prices have gone way up
Mhm.
because of parts and all of that. I mean, the entire world has changed.
Yeah.
And businesses have to change the model as
Mhm.
well to
Mhm.
adapt
Mhm.
to changing.
I would think it would be difficult to, just as Bill pointed out, you don't know how much materials are going to cost you. You don't know if you can bid on this job, or if you do bid on this job, but you can't get the materials. How do you keep the people and, working? And you don't want to let those people go because you know it's going to be really hard to get them back. So, it really does impact businesses, from multiple directions.
Yeah, something's coming up for me in this discussion, and I'd love for you all to address it if you can. And online, feel free to add your comments and feedback in addition to your questions. It addresses one of the questions that came up virtually. I'm hearing you talk about the importance of these very special skill, specifically skill trained positions that are in great need right now. And I'm thinking about family members, community members who are not skilled in those areas, so that skills gap that we're talking about, but they're coming into very entry-level positions because of their lack of skills and education. And so the question that came up is, how has the growing gig economy, and I would add to that everything you all just said about the skills gap, how has that impacted traditional entry-level jobs such as retail and restaurant? Are you seeing when it comes to entry level, is there a gap there? Are folks just coming there because they don't have the skills? Is there a long-term concern as it relates to how this gap is affecting us with entry level versus very specific skills trade positions? Does that make sense? Any thoughts about that question?
Sure what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm asking you to kind of comment on the fact that we have entry-level positions that are low paying, that don't require the kinds of skills you all are talking about. The question they've asked is, how has the growing gig economy impacted that? I guess I was just adding to that the observation that all that we've talked about, these folks who are coming into these very entry-level, low-paying positions, that skills gap is keeping them from getting to those jobs that you're talking about. Wondering if you're having any thoughts about that.
Well, our organization, and I say our organization, we do receive funding to address those specific needs. Anybody who's a resident in Southern Maryland can access training on Skill Up Southern Maryland. It's free.
Mhm.
Absolutely free. They have all of those IT techie type trainings like Cisco and CompTIA, Security Plus, many, many others. I was going to make a little list to bring it here so I could tell you the differences, but they have OSHA training on there. They have environmental type training, customer service training, human resources training. You go on there, it's literally thousands of different trainings that are free.
Wow.
It's also available to businesses. We have you know, a few businesses who have been given an administrative log on, and they can assign and manage skills training for their employees. It does cost for the business, but they do get a huge discount for signing up so many employees. We also have received funding through the American Rescue Plan Act, and that really is to address individuals and businesses. That's where what I work in the businesses, to support them through the impacts they've experienced through COVID. We have tried incentivizing individuals to go back to work in certain highly impacted industries. We've met with a little excitement over that, but mainly the training portion. You can literally walk into our center and get training that you need if you have experienced an impact,
Wow.
negative economic impact. So it's not tied to some of the restrictions under Title I of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act.
Mhm.
So if you need some help with your first semester of college, or you need to get a certification, maybe you need OSHA training, or maybe you need, a CompTIA certification, we can help you with that. So if you or anyone in your family, there's a few different, questions we'll ask about the impact, but a lot of people have been impacted. So we're hoping that a lot of entry-level workers will engage with this training and be able to upskill and fill some of these other positions. And also, the businesses train their current staff, upskill them
Mhm.
to make room for more entry-level ones.
Yeah. So when we post this, we'd love to provide that resource as a link within the posting, because it's, I think the key and the importance of what that question was, is to really help with that skills gap. And there's still a reminder that we can speak a little more closely into the mic when we're talking. Go for it, Bill.
Hello.
The other thing is, this is a debate in the workforce development. When you say low-paying jobs in this area, what is that?
Yeah.
Because Wawa will pay $16 an hour and give you a $500 bonus.
Mhm.
So obviously, that's $30,000 a year. So is $30,000 a year a low-paying job?
Mhm.
This is why, if you're not paying 17 or 18, why would somebody go out and do hard manual work for the difference between 16 and 18 if they can go to Wawa and
Mhm.
make a sub and get 16? And if the
Mhm.
government wants to give you $15 an hour to stay home, that's not good.
Mhm.
So I just find it interesting when we talk about this, because living wage versus minimum wage, these are all political debates that have got us right to where we are today. 12 million unfilled jobs in the United States. If somebody's saying they can't find a job, they don't want a job,
Mhm.
because there are jobs everywhere. Now, may not be the job that's your dream job, but there are jobs and people begging in every place. I'm willing to hire, if you can have any mechanical skills, you can turn a wrench, you can use an impact drill, I'll hire you today.
Mhm.
And I'm willing to pay 18.
Mhm.
So what is low? I mean, and this is a very competitive area, Maryland district, this District of Columbia area that we're in right
Mhm.
here. Now, if you get out to rural areas, it may be a different conversation, but we're desperate for workers. There are lots of jobs. There's no reason that anybody is sitting home right now. Now, this is a great program because every construction job requires OSHA 30.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely going to find out about this, because
Yeah.
if somebody was to go out, even if it was their last 3 or 4 months of high school, and get their OSHA 30 certification, they would have a big edge over everybody else coming into the job force,
Mhm.
Exactly.
because OSHA 30 is a minimum to walk on to any federal job. One last thing,
Mhm.
we have millions of people out here that have a felony conviction.
Mhm.
If we could expunge felony convictions, there are
Mm.
people all over the United States that maybe had a marijuana charge or whatever it is, and they got a felony conviction. They can't work on a federal job site. I
Yeah.
have wonderful people that come into my office that had a felony 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I can't hire them because I can't put them on a federal job site. So
Mhm.
this is one way the government could work to
Yeah.
help free up a lot of jobs, by doing felony conviction expungement. After 10 years, you can get an expunge and then you can get a job.
Yeah.
If you've got this hanging over somebody, they're stuck for life.
Yeah, I told you all the quality feedback here from our panelists. We have an awesome person in Bev who is in the chat moderating, and she has provided the Skill Up Maryland link in the chat. So
I was stressing about that. I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared.
we are here to support you, Belinda. And so the link is provided in the chat. If you all want to take advantage of that, please do. It has been endorsed by Bill. That is something that is definitely needed. Oh, thank you so much, Sandy. We really appreciate you putting that in the chat. I'll ask a couple more questions. We are open to more questions coming from our virtual or in-person audience. I want to ask, how are we measuring the success of what we are doing? So what measures, what factors are we looking at? Are we looking at, unemployment? Are we looking at the average pay of someone who is getting paid? What are we looking at to measure the success of workforce development and skills training?
Well, I can speak for the Tri-County Council and our Title I program. Obviously, there are some performance outcomes, and there's a certain wage that we look at, a certain wage that we look at to see if we're successful in placing people in those types of jobs. However, on my side, are we filling open positions? Is our number one success measure. And obviously, as an organization and my team, the business engagement team, we have goals. We have goals that, we achieve, and more so on a regular basis. So we are filling positions. You should call us. I have a wonderful recruitment team, and that's, filling positions is it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Lucretia, from the economic development side, how are we measuring the success of our region?
Again, as I said, we work closely with the Tri-County Council to workforce development, but just looking at the the overall issue. I think one of the measuring factor would be retention.
That is important.
Our companies retaining their employees. Not, as I said, people go where the buck is. And I also will add things that will impact retention is professional development within your organization. Because you have, you could hire your employees, but some of them may be lacking some soft skills that if employers can invest in professional development for the employees, I think that will help the retention.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really good. I'll come to this issue of turnover that you have just brought up, that has been mentioned a couple of times. They call it organizational brain drain. When it's a mass exodus of talented workers from a company, either because of the other opportunities that are available other places, maybe a sense of instability, maybe a lack of opportunity or professional development opportunities within the company, like Lucretia has just said. They feel like they can realize their career goals elsewhere. With that, we are seeing significant workforce turnover resulting in the brain drain of companies, just literally taking their knowledge with them and leaving that gap within a company. Have you all noticed this happening in our region, which it sounds like Lucretia has? And if so, how are we or how should we be addressing turnover? Please.
One thing we haven't touched on, I just read an article in the Wall Street Journal. There is a record number of retirements.
Yes.
Millions of retirements across the country. Of course, we see what's going on with the police, and that's record numbers. And now you see things with vaccination leading other people to retire. But even in my own company, I just recently had a 59-year-old retire, and I had a 64-year-old person retire. And these people are people that I would think would have stayed around several more years. COVID has made people face mortality, people that don't want to work out in the workforce anymore for health concerns, whatever. So there's a huge amount of retirements that are going on. So I've always prided my company on the 17-year average employee tenure. And that to me is a mark that we're doing something right. But this particular year, I think I said when we first started, most frustrating year I've had in 35 years, besides the supply chain issue and employee issues, then you have this, I've never had retaining employee issues, but you can't compete with somebody saying, I'm done, I don't want to work anymore. There's no competing to keep that person. And we're starting to see that across the board. So we're in times right now where CEOs have got to link up with other people, such as these two esteemed colleagues. You've got to expand what you've done because what you've done in the past may not work going forward. For example, I said the other day to my staff, we've always been very careful who we hire because we look at every hire as a lifelong hire. But we're going to have to change our strategy. Now we're going to have to hire everybody we can hire, put them on a 90-day temporary probation, and then hope to keep half maybe of the people that we're hiring. Because, we can't look at lifelong hires anymore because you're so desperate to hire people. You got to get people through the door. So these are questions, and it's good that we're talking about it because young business people just started into business. If you don't start thinking about long-term retention, you could find yourself in a really bad business position in the very near future because people are coming to steal your employees. Employees want to retire. All these things are happening. And I really think right now it is going to separate really good business people from not maybe as good business people in the future, who makes it and who doesn't, how you react to this changing world that we're in.
Yeah. And Belinda, before you speak, you just made me think of succession planning and there we go. Go for it, Belinda.
The first thing I was going to say is succession planning. And we've touched on, some of the other options solutions that businesses should look at. Culture. Are you investing in your employees by training them? Are you making an impact on the community? There's a lot of things that a business could be doing, and those are a few. I mean, you are going to have to repeat. You are going to have to, I'm sorry, I just lost my thought.
No worries.
You are going to have to really focus on retention by, your benefit plan. What is your benefit plan? Education.
Yeah, that professional development piece that you all have mentioned really pours into the succession planning and the turnover issue. Those who are retiring, taking some time out before they leave and not do the brain drain and leave the knowledge with some folks that are there may help empower them to feel like they're growing at the company and want to be retained and stay. And so I think you've brought up some excellent best practices and things to consider as it relates to what employees should be doing to retain employees. Employers should be doing to retain employees. I'm looking around, checking my chat just to make sure. I want to pivot us just a bit. We mentioned the schools and the high schools having more VOTEC opportunities there for students, as well as College of Southern Maryland, go. We offer a plethora of classes and programs, certificates, and degrees that would help equip you for the jobs that are out here and needed. Could you speak to our youth, about our youth and young adults? Because what we're dealing with right now, we're basically leaving them to deal with, right? And it's very different than what we experienced coming into the workforce. And so if you have ideas either about the work that you're doing or maybe what could be done better in the community, when you think about our youth and our young adults, what are some things we can be doing as it relates to workforce and skills gap, but anything as it relates to youth and young adults that comes to mind?
Well, I would have to say that businesses, if they really want to grow their own talent, they really need to spend some time with youth in mentorship programs,
Mm.
apprenticeship programs, internship programs. The Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland does have a youth and young adult program, and that's pretty much the focus. We have a work-based learning program, and we need businesses who want to help, our youth in those professional skills that they're going to need. That's one of the things that getting a fast food restaurant job will teach you, customer service, but in any kind of industry, we need more mentors and we need more businesses willing to work with the youth.
And that is so true because there are organizations out there that businesses can partner with. Those organizations that focus on youth development and youth entrepreneurship training.
Mhm.
If you go on Google and search, and I know a few of them, that businesses or business owner can partner with and be a part of those organizations to impart things in those young kids and even young adults. I think that would be very, very helpful too.
I love that. Bill, you good?
Yeah, I would just add it, over the last several years, I probably spend 50% of my time as an activist. And when I say an activist, I'm very active with the state government, with the governor, the federal government. From the top down, we need to change the culture with youth. In Germany, who I partner with on several ventures, tradesmen are very esteemed. And basically about the 9th grade in Germany, you don't get to pick your high school. Depending on your grades, you go to trade school or you go to what they call university-oriented high school. And so, but tradesmen are extremely well respected. So that's a culture change, whether it's the state or federal government putting into apprenticeship programs, funding great organizations like these two. All these things add to opportunity. Opportunity is the greatest thing that you can give a youth. Unemployment check or any kind of thing, there's no respect or dignity in that. What is dignity and respect is opportunity and a job.
Yeah.
And so we can get opportunity for every single American, right? Every single American. Then we have opportunity, and that's what youths want. They want opportunity.
And that's a perfect segue into us getting your final thoughts, because it marries, in order to give every American an opportunity, the skills training that we've been talking about, the job opportunities that require these skills, and the fact that the job market is open depending upon your skills. It really all marries into, we've got work to do on all fronts, employers, as well as our community. You've mentioned the government and some ways that they can help us with this issue. So those of you who are watching, and as this will be posted on our college website, share this with those who can help us move forward with these thoughts and ideas, because they have been valuable. I will ask you, it feels like a really good time, unless I see more questions coming in from the chat or any that are coming in-house. I would love that, to begin to think about what your closing thoughts would be. And Eugene, I'd love for you to ask, and then I can repeat it for you on the mic.
So my question, given all the problems that we talked about, the unemployment, convincing people to come and apply for jobs, finding the right skill set, the manufacturing and supply chain issues. My question is, who do we reach out to, or how should we approach the big picture and the long-term issues? Who do we reach to make a manufacturing enterprise in Southern Maryland?
This is a great question.
Is it the government? Is it the big business? Because a small startup will hardly make a aluminum extrusion something, right? Profiling. It's not possible for me to start a business like that. We need someone with enough resources and long-term vision to start.
Yeah. And just to briefly capsulize what Eugene has shared, to really just, as community members, Who do we reach out to? What can we be doing to reach out to the people who are the most influential and can make the most amount of change? Is that okay over the mic? He's given a whole lot more meat to it for the panelists to hear. But I think all of you look like you had a couple of thoughts.
This manufacturing is my life. And when I ran for Senate in 2018, it was about revitalizing Indian Head. A lot of people don't like to hear that government is the answer, but when the government shuts down a town like Indian Head, and that's what happened, then you're sitting in a town that the government shut down. In this case, only the government is going to be able to open it back up through opportunities, reaching out through the Department of Commerce. So we have an airport that could be an economic driver. Again, the government shut down. You have a town that the government chased away Martin Baker ejector seats that was going to put a factory in Indian Head, and the local government chased away. So I got to tell you, one, start with your elected officials and demand, your delegates and your state senator, demand money to revitalize Indian Head. Demand from your local county commissioners attention to Indian Head. We could have light manufacturing in Indian Head. The governor, for example, this building that we're sitting in, that money came through grants through the government, Senator Middleton when he was senator, Governor Hogan, and a partnership between the state and a local developer. So, you know, again, I'm a private enterprise, free capitalist guy. I never like to say the government, but when the government puts a place in a place like Indian Head is, only the government's got the engine to drive it out. And so it's going to start with demanding from your local representatives, county, state, and also Congressman Hoyer, to demand to get economic incentives. Now, in the 2018 tax reform bill that no one talks about, we have enterprise zones. No one talks about that, but Indian Head is an enterprise zone, okay? So it would behoove somebody to put a light manufacturing business in Indian Head, take opportunity of the opportunity zone tax credits. But you've got to elect the right people, because if you elect anti-business people and then say, why can't we get business here? You are part of the problem because you elect an anti-business policy. You've got to elect pro-business people. And right now we have who we have. Get on the phone, call your representatives, say, look, there is no excuse for the town of Indian Head to have empty buildings 17 miles from District of Columbia. We need tax incentives. We need the Secretary of Commerce in on it. She's willing. But it starts with the commissioners, starts with the county government. Let's get Indian Head revitalized. This really is my passion. Actually, I don't know you, but if I had planned you in the audience, you would have asked that.
And we can't tell it's your passion at all, Bill. No, and I appreciate your thoughts, and I would translate that to say whatever county you're in this tri-county area, if those comments resonate with you as well, that action item is just as relevant to you inside or outside of Indian Head. And by enterprise zone, just for the layman's in the room like myself, there are incentives and money available for those areas that are enterprise zones. Is that correct?
St. Mary's County, Charleston County, has a viable airport, a booming economic driver, a booming economic business center, tech center, innovation center. Look at St. Mary's, look at the airport, look at Charles, look at Indian Head. That's the difference in how county governments work towards working with businesses or repudiating businesses. So all I would do is take a look at St. Mary's, look at that airport, look at Charles, look at our airport. The answer to your question is right there.
Thank you, Belinda.
I would just say, yeah, you have to tap into the resources that are available to you. It's not just one organization, but if you start with commerce or economic development, they're going to point you in the right direction. I mean, after all, you need to see about workforce. What kind of skilled individuals are you going to need? And so knowing that way before you're ready to open up, let's say, we could help train those particular individuals so that they would be ready to go to work for you. So it's just a small, it's a piece of that puzzle.
Thank you for that. You good, Lucretia? All right, this has been amazing. I was told that I couldn't be heard, so I'm hoping that I'm eating the mic enough now. We hear me very well in here. This has really been amazing. I'm thinking about how we are ending as it relates to what we can do as community members, and everything from, up-leveling our own skills and doing the research to look into your organizations and the services that you provide as community members. I don't think we take as much advantage of what's available to us as we can and should. And so I would love for each of you to have some closing words, anything that you would encourage us to think about as we are closing out this discussion of rethinking workforce development and skills training.
Yeah, I would say utilize the resources out there that is available for both the employees and the employer. And, COVID-19 has put distant learning into high gear. You can acquire the skills set that is needed to fill the gap in employment out there. There's thousands of jobs available, but yet there isn't the skill set to fill those jobs. So acquire the necessary skills. Technology has made it possible. If you cannot go in person, there's a lot of training programs out there that you can tap into, like the Tri-County Council. Visit their website. You can also visit our website, meetchildscounty.com, and we can direct you into tapping into some of these programs, these training programs, because it will create personalized environment for job seekers to go after you. And acquiring that skill is very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucretia. Belinda?
I know that businesses are busy, but we at the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland, we do have money to assist, but we can't really assist you in a meaningful way unless we have businesses participate in these industry sector partnerships. As a matter of fact, we partner with the College of Southern Maryland on an initiative getting Southern Maryland back to work. And we have been having these quarterly industry sector roundtables. And in January, we're going to have a special event where we really want to get with our 4 different growth industries and understand how we can help them right now, like right now. We want to come away with 2 to 3 good ideas or action items that we can use our American Rescue Plan Act funding. If we don't get participation, we're not really going to know how we can help. And I would encourage you to contact me, and Sandy, if you are watching, would you put my email in the chat box? Contact me. We need some business champions who really care about our region and upskilling. You can complain about not having skilled workers, but we can help you upskill them. So that's what I would give you as a takeaway.
Yeah, thank you for that. And shout out to Lifestyles and Sandy. I think it was Sandy Washington. I'm not even sure. Whoever you are, Sandy, thank you. All right, go for it. Yes.
I would just say that I appreciate this opportunity with CSM, and this has been a very informative, I think, session for people listening. I know I've sometimes been tough on government, but the 2 esteemed panelists that I'm with show just how great government can be when you have organizations like the 2 people I'm with today that have these great services and are willing to help people. So this is what I mean when I say bad government, good. This is good government. And this is good things that we can happen to our community. So I'm hoping that people who perhaps are looking for a job or know somebody will use this opportunity to contact one of these 2 awesome organizations and get some trained people so that I can hire them, because I'm ready to hire today. Anybody out there listening?
And there was a comment that they may not have heard you really well. Bill at Modern Door is ready to hire today. So thank you all so much. We cannot thank you enough for just taking time out of your very busy days, not just to be with us virtually, but in person. We're very grateful. You suffered through traffic and all to be here for this simulcast. We invite you, our regional community, to come on over to Indian Head. We are here and available. Check us out at the Velocity Center. We will have at least 3 more opportunities for you to check out the Live at the Velocity Center program series. Again, you're welcome to join us virtually or in person on October 20th when we discuss experiential learning and innovation with some of our youth innovators and inventors. That's going to be fun. And then November 10th when we explore STEAM and the inclusion of the arts at the Velocity Center. Or on January 19th, when we provide an overview of what a makerspace is and how we can use it. And there is a makerspace here at the Velocity Center. You don't have to memorize those dates. Bev has been so kind as to put the link in the chat for you to register for those other events. All of that information is at csmd.edu/VC series, or you can use the long URL inside the chat. This has been an amazing discussion on rethinking workforce development and skills training. Thank you so much, Bill, Belinda, and Lucretia. We are signing off now and invite you to have a wonderful day. Take care.